Everyone talks about the millions of dollars that you're going to make once you go ahead and finally run your own dispensary. But nobody talks about the cost and the sacrifice it'll take you to get to that point in the first place. They see the industry growing fast, they hear about big sales numbers, they think, this is my shot. But what they don't see behind the scenes is long hours, staffing problems, razor thin margins, and constant stress. And instead of living the dream, they're on the running hamster wheel saying, why did I do this to myself in the first place? I've worked with dispensary owners all over the US, and I can tell you this is way more common than you think. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way unless you keep on doing what most dispensaries are doing. You're hoping customers are showing up, juggling multiple jobs, putting out all the fires, wearing all the hats, and absolutely you need to do this when you first get started, but you don't need to do this all the time and you don't need to do this forever. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to avoid burnout, the constant stress, and the constant anxiety that comes with running a dispensary so that you can start living the life that you want. So I've probably spoken with over 1,000 dispensary owners at this point. At least it's felt that way. Don't take my number literally if you're actually checking. We're at 70 plus podcast interviews now, and not including the number of people I've spoken to off camera and the number of sales consultations and one-on-one consultations and people just asking me in general for help. I've spoken to a lot of people, and there's a few things that I've realized from speaking to you guys in terms of burnout, anxiety, the constant stress of running a dispensary. And a couple of you fall into a few of these buckets, right? The first one is passion for the plant. Super passionate. Maybe you started consuming a little while ago, pre-legalization, and you decided you want to get into it. There's some other people who decided that they wanted to start a new business venture, and the cannabis industry is one of the first ones that they wanted to hop into. They didn't have any experience in any other retail or restaurants or anything like that. So there's a lot of people in this specific industry who are new to running a business, who are new to the industry itself, or just had a lot of passion about the product itself. Whether you wanted to look at it for medicinal reasons, whether you wanted to look at it from recreational reasons, whether you wanted to look at it from financial gain reasons, or all of those three things. There's a reason why people get into this space. The problem is that we're looking at the best case scenario when starting a business. It's like, hey, I think I can make all these millions of dollars. Hey, I really love this product or this service, so I really want to get into it. But at the end of the day, you're running a business, and passion alone, unfortunately, can't get you to where you want to be. And realistically, a lot of people start businesses because they want a level of freedom, right? They want a level of financial freedom, they want a level of time freedom, and they want a level of location freedom. They want to be able to have an A player or a team of amazing people to be able to run their business so that they can go and do what they want. But the problem is, in this specific space, there are three common traps that a lot of dispensary owners face. The first one is long hours. A lot of people like to purchase cannabis on the weekends, and they're going to purchase cannabis outside of regular working hours. So depending on how you've built up your team infrastructure, you are probably the GM, the bud tender, the cleaner, the accountant, the purchasing manager. You're all of these different things. And the problem is that all of these long hours are going to take a toll on you. They're going to take a toll on your family, and they're just going to take a bunch of time doing the things that you don't really want to do. Another thing in this space, razor thin margins, right? With this 280E and compliance and all these tax issues, and then any specialists you need to go to, they cost extra money. If you want to go get specific green space, depending on what city you're in, the landlords are going to charge you more money. There's so many things just eating at your margins all the time. So if you don't build up the proper system and the proper business, even better than a regular business does, then you're absolutely going to fail. And you're going to be stuck in this hamster wheel of, oh, I can't afford an additional bud tender. I can't afford an additional staff person to fill in for this role, so then I need to go ahead and do it. So what we need to do is build up the proper systems so that you don't face the burnout or the incoming burnout that you have. A lot of dispensary owners that I see, they're wearing all of the hats, and honestly, that's great. I think you should get an idea about your business and what it's all about, and how do the gears run? How does it actually work, so that when you do make the hires, you know who is working well and who isn't. But there's a cost. There's a massive cost to doing it all by yourself. And even though you might be saving money financially on one side, the cost is your sanity. The cost is constant stress. The cost is constant anxiety. The cost is, can I pay my bills in the next month? So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to walk you through again the importance of all of the different things that we need to put in place so that you can build the business that you want. Back to the cost of doing things, right? We have the mental, physical, and then we have the financial cost of the different aspects of your business. So mentally, we have decisions that we need to make. We have fatigue, we have stress, we have anxiety. If mentally we're not there, you're not going to like what your day-to-day is looking like regardless. Then you have the physical exhaustion, right? So if you're standing on your feet every single day and having to talk with customers and having to engage and do what customer service people do best, remembering people's names. I don't know if you saw any of my previous videos about the 4 different things that dispensaries do differently. You should go ahead and check that video out, but you can't be engaged and turned on all of the time, right? And then financially, even though you might be saving money in the short run by being the GM, the bud tender, the purchasing manager, and all of these things, you're not going to make money in the long run because you're too much in the weeds to make the big picture decisions moving forward. What marketing agencies should you work with? What vendors should you be working with? What are some new key hires that you should be exploring? How do you turn your B players into A players? How do you make sure you reduce the amount of C players that you have within the business? There's so many things that you need to do that you won't be able to do if you're constantly stuck within the weeds. Hey, very quickly, if you're enjoying this video, I have something very special for you. In the links in the description below, you can check out the workbook that goes along with this specific video. It includes checklists, summaries, and a step-by-step action plan to take your dispensary to the next level. In addition to this, I have a cool little bonus where when you download your workbook, you'll have access to all the previous workbooks I've created, and then also all the future workbooks I'm going to create. So you're going to want to get it in the description below. Now back to the video. So to make sure that you're not just in the trenches all of the time, the first thing you need to do is fix your foundations, right? What are your operations? What are your people? And then what are your processes? So within your business, you probably, whether you actually acknowledge it or not, have your A players, have your B players, and have your C players. Every business has this. And ultimately, the biggest poison to a business is not the C players, it's actually the B players. Because what ends up happening is that the B players, they might show up late every once in a while, but then they'll do a really, really good job and pull through. But then other times they might not really get well with some of the other, customers, or they might not get well, work well with your employees, which is even worse. So culturally, they might not be the best fit, but you know that the effort of having to try and hire a new person is very difficult. Or maybe your B player is a very, very good person. And the problem is that because they're a good person, you can't separate what the business needs are from what your personal emotional needs are in terms of not having to fire this person or let them go or even have them switch roles. So the people come first. If you have a team full of B players, then it's very, very difficult for you to push the business forward because you can't rely on them, right? You can't go on those vacations. You can't say, hey, can you make sure that you close the shop? Can you make sure that you don't get this customer angry? Can you make sure that whatever it is? It's very, very difficult to run a business with B players only. The problem is that C players are very obvious. You know that, hey, they're stealing whatever it is. Maybe that's an F player, right? If they're stealing product and they're not showing up to work on time all of the time and all that stuff, they're definitely F players. But you know your C players and you know what you need to do with them, and you can justify with various KPIs why they should or shouldn't stay. But the B players are something that you need to make sure you take into consideration when you're looking at your team, because every dispensary that I've talked to that is doing very, very well for themselves, the first thing they talk about is how good their team is. The second piece is then the process. What is the process of your business? A business is its systems. The business will fall not to the goals that they want to achieve, but to the systems that they have and the expectations that they have of the people within the system itself. So what I mean by that is it's not just about the people, and absolutely it is about the people, but what do the people do within the business? What is the system? What is the operating process, right? How are they interacting with their customers every single day? How are they sourcing new product? How are they determining how to not just make sure the business does what they do, but how do they make sure that we can continually make improvements over time, right? Are customers making some suggestions on how the store layout should be, right? Are some of the staff that you hire figuring out that there's a new software tool that can be used to be better efficient on the back end. And the processes that you have though need to be established and then also updated and improved upon. In the corporate world, it's your SOPs, but at the end of the day, people aren't robots. They're not going to follow your SOPs, but you need to have your general standard operating procedures on how people should act, the expectations of what they bring into the store, and then the ideal goal of what they need to achieve, right? And that starts from top to bottom. So you have your managers, and then depending on how many locations that you then have your direct reports. Then based on your direct reports, each of those are the general managers of each of the stores, and each of those general managers then have, the bud tenders that they have at the bottom, right? And a lot of the times, the dispensary owner at the top is just so busy. They don't really understand what's going on all the way at the bottom. You don't necessarily need a mystery shopper, but you need to go make sure you check in on the stores and make sure things are going on properly. So the operations, the people, and the process make sure that you can go ahead and actually just have a business that can run directly without you. Because honestly, the other option is you do it all yourself. And yes, you can trust yourself, you can get the work done, but you're gonna have a lot of problems because you're gonna be burnt out. And that takes us all the way back to the start of this video regarding burnout. So if you want to go watch that again, you can go ahead and restart the video on that side. The next piece of that is then the marketing as a whole. If you're coming from an industry that is not cannabis related, or if this is your first time running a business, the marketing part is then convincing people to come in and shop with you. A lot of people have the preconceived notion where if you build it, they will come. Sometimes that works. Maybe if you're Apple, if Apple builds a new product, then people will come. You saw the Apple Vision Pro, right? Like, I don't know. I think if you look at some of the articles, it's not doing very well, right? So even Apple can build a product and people still won't come if the other things aren't aligned with the services and the products that you're selling. I have a lot of videos on marketing, so this isn't going to be a marketing video, but what I encourage you to do is make sure you have a framework of reliably getting customers through your door day over day, month over month, year over year. And in general, it will follow everything that I've been talking about in this video. Do you have a way to make customers know that you exist in the first place, which is awareness? Do you have a way to then convert the people who know you exist then into paying customers, which is conversion? And then do you have a way that you can get your customers to keep coming back and then provide that word of mouth growth to make sure they keep coming back over and over and over again? Little side story, I was working with the client and their marketing was doing fantastic. Their traffic was doing pretty well. Their rankings were doing well. But this dispensary owner was like, hey, Brandon, our sales have been dropping over the past 18 months or so. Nothing crazy or alarming, but they've been slowly dropping bit by bit, bit by bit. I was like, do you mind if I take a look at your sales data? They said, sure. Long story short, 70% of the customers who purchased the first time did not purchase with them a second time. You can wave as much magic wand magic on SEO and ranking and Google rankings and stuff like that, which by the way, we do fantastic here at Cannabis Marketing. Click the link in the description below to book a one-on-one consultation with us. But essentially, if your product, if your people, if your process aren't good enough to make sure customers are coming back, then you're going to have a terrible, terrible time because there's no amount of magic that you can do to get customers coming in and have them to stay if you have bad product and a bad overall environment that you're trying to treat your customers with. The last piece of the puzzle is going to now be related to that loyalty piece, and that is the community that you're building out. A lot of people think this a little woohoo about like branding and having people align and resonate with your brand and stuff like that. The reason why it's woohoo is because people think that they can just call themselves a community and people automatically join in. Welcome to the community. This is so awesome, right? But to really build a community, you need to galvanize troops behind a specific message, a specific mission, the culture of your business. You really need to drive people towards something that they can be aligned about, right? You have the Jeep community, then you have the Harley Davidson community, then you have the Apple community, right? You have all of these communities, and especially in the cannabis space, at least right now, you know the deal. People are looking for the highest THC item at the lowest cost possible. It's a commodity and there are razor thin margins in here. By building a community, you're going to be able to charge higher for the same product offering, but the value that your community is getting is being in the community itself. So we all know the Apple products are very, very expensive, but there's a community around Apple itself. but their product is also good too. So that doesn't mean you can just sell a really bad product and then just pretend that you're going to sell a lot of products just because your community is really good, right? So what do we need to do? We need to go and make sure that we have a mission. We need to go and make sure that our branding is aligned with said mission. And then we need to repeatedly reinforce this mission and get people to join the mission itself. And it's easier said than done. This isn't going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a month. Honestly, it's probably not going to happen in a year. But what we want to do is continue building up, because what is happening in the cannabis industry, specifically for retail stores, is more stores are opening up, and they're going to say, welcome to this grand opening, here's 25% off, and you're going to have to continually compete on price over and over and over again. You need to educate your customers. You need to have a good loyalty program, not just built on promotions, but built on education. What are the things that you do differently that other dispensaries don't do, and how can you showcase that so that you can galvanize your troops to like you, know you, trust you, and make sure that they never, ever end up leaving? Hey, according to YouTube, this is the best next video for you. Go ahead and click it now.